So you're doing that with technologies that allow for a data delete. So if a device is lost or stolen, they immediately have the ability to go out and wipe that device. You have the ability to go out and do a data freeze on the device. And so if you've lost a laptop and you don't want to wipe everything on it, but you want to freeze it, so when a user tries to turn it on, it merely comes up and says, please contact such and such. You know, this device needs to be returned to covered entity or whomever. You can also do a lot of forensics. A classic case that was in the newspaper this week, they had the first jail term handed out in the U.S. based on a HIPAA HITECH Act data breach violation. And it happened to be somebody right here in Orlando at Florida Hospital. Florida Hospital is one of our customers. Florida Hospital had an employee that was doing data mining. In other words, he was going in and taking a look at every single person that was involved in any type of an accident and providing that information to a law firm. So they were using the system to data mine. So through the use of our tools and our technology and our forensics abilities, we were able to narrow down who that individual was and what they were doing. So that person just got a 2-year prison sentence this week. There's a growing need in the market to prove software and regulatory compliance. So, you know, the systems are broad enough to be able to identify that your organization has 100 Microsoft Office licenses, but you have 120 users utilizing Microsoft Office. So you have the ability to police your organization in terms of just being software compliant. And you need to be able to track and manage these devices without regard to location. Now, my father-in-law, or my son's father-in-law, is a deputy director for FEMA. He was involved with, he's the guy that wrote all the ambulance contracts for FEMA. He's doing something totally different now. But when he was out visiting us over the Christmas holidays, he had his laptop with him. He turned that laptop on. The geolocation capabilities of the software that was embedded in that laptop sent a message to FEMA saying that one of their devices was outside of the normal geographic boundaries. So he got a message back to his boss, you know, probably the Secretary of Health and Human Services, that said, hey, Mark Snyder's laptop is in Ohio. So alert, alert, alert. So you have those types of abilities to track devices across a wide geographic area. Another example is a healthcare customer that had a visiting nurse. You know, the folks that go out and see patients in their homes. Had an alert that indicated that a machine was in Mexico. Well, maybe not necessarily a problem. In most cases, probably is a problem. In this particular case, the person was on vacation. But what was alarming to the health organization was that that employee took a device that was a company-owned device out of the country that had medical records on it. It all goes back to risk. So risk is very serious. You also need to manage the costs associated with mobility. You know, the costs surrounding mobility are getting enormous. Some organizations are using the bring your own device as a way to have the organization spend less capital. Let the employee bring their device in, I don't have to buy one for them. So you're able to manage these mobile endpoints and still keep track of your assets. But really, the key point that you need to use with the technology to basically go out and manage those risks to an appropriate level of risk. And in compliance, that deals with how am I going to be HIPAA compliant? Am I going to be in compliance with a new omnibus rule as a contractor that's working with these healthcare organizations that come in contact with potential protected health information? Now, the mobile endpoint represents significant risk. You know, from non-compliance, HIPAA HITECH, and really end-of-life protocols. A lot of organizations, when they're done with a device, you know, they refresh frequently every 3 years or so. And they tend to give these devices away when they're finished. Whether it be a smartphone, whether it be a computer, they're going to donate it to a school. Now, a lot of these hospitals have to be really aware of what they're giving away. These things need to be certifying that they are clean. Last thing you want to do is send somebody's health information records to a school that got a donated computer. So from a data security element, you're going to protect the PHI, potentially any intellectual property that may be on a device. In a healthcare setting, you can have a lot of research people. So I was just at like Johns Hopkins in Baltimore on Tuesday, and it was mostly research individuals doing cancer research and all various types of research that affect broad ranges of the population. So protecting their intellectual property on the new cancer research they're doing is also very important. And then really detecting unauthorized use, and that's another key element. So, just as an example, CopyTrace does provide, data security protection. We do some like theft and so, like, we staff with about 60 retired policemen across North America that are in the various locations, and they do an awfully good job of working with these because they're all cops. So last time we had a conference, we had about 60 of our law enforcement guys there, along with all the salespeople, and you just see those guys hit the donut table in the mornings. It was just awesome. So some of the things you need to do to manage risk is be able to do it remotely recover or delete data from a device. So you can go out and remove just a file. If you're using mobile device management technologies, you can go out and have any corporate data sit in a silo on that device where you can go out and merely mitigate the silo and not affect the rest of the device. A lot of times a doctor is going to lose a tablet or lose a phone, but they usually misplace it. So you don't want to go out and just kill it, right? Because what you're also going to do is kill all their vacation pictures, and they don't like that. So with the ability to do some siloing or doing some sandboxing, we have the ability to segregate that data. So just the key things really, through geolocation and remote device wipe, those are the most important things in this market. So compliance, we've talked about many of these things through the course of the brief discussion, but we talk about encryption. Make sure that whatever you end up going with from a data endpoint protection standpoint, that you have the ability to go out and see if the product is encrypted. I can't tell you how important that is. So all these organizations say, yes, I'm encrypted, I'm pretty safe, but was the encryption in place? Was the encryption turned on? So as an example, with software encryption, if you just allow your device to go to sleep, and go in standby mode, that encryption ends up being turned off. So if somebody happened to steal this computer while it was sitting here in a standby mode, they could actually get into that device without powering the device down and putting the encryption key back in. The other thing I'll say is healthcare organizations today don't really care about getting the devices back so much. Now, maybe if you have like, a ruggedized device in your vehicle that costs a lot of money, yeah, maybe you're going to be interested in getting that device back from a capital cost basis. But healthcare organizations, as a general rule, they're more concerned about the data that's on the device as opposed to the device itself. So we recovered a device a couple of years ago, and we got the device back from the police department. And right on the front of the device was a sticky note with a 16-digit encryption key. Why use mobile endpoint protection? It allows organizations to be proactive versus reactive. Now, do we have a solution for reactive? Oh yeah, that's the data device, data delete, data freeze, device wipe. We can do the reactive thing. But on a proactive basis, it's kind of important. On a call, when the device communicates back to the monitoring center, which happens on a daily basis, the device is stolen, it kind of rolls back, and it goes every 15 minutes until the device is located. So you're getting a wealth of data from that device. So by looking at the deltas and the changes that have occurred from a footprint on the device, you can tell that something is amiss. So we're providing a snapshot in time. You go back and change the look, and you see things like, why does this computer have a different device name that's not in the standard protocol of our organization? The device isn't supposed to leave the hospital facility, but yet it may be in Mexico. Suspicious behavior. Somebody changed the username.